Debbie, based on that, can you comment on sort of how your 1 shows up relative to your 5? You did hint about it earlier, but I was wondering if you can go a little bit deeper about that.
Yeah, so as Karen was talking, you were both talking. I just like, it's interesting because for me, when something comes on my path and it sparks my interest, I'll do a little bit of investigating. I'll probably buy a book, but that book could sit there for a while, and then it comes across my path again. It was the same with human design. It was a couple of times when it came, okay, now it's the second time, now it's the third time. I buy another book, I read, then I start reading the book because I've had other stuff to do, right? I'm a manifesting generator, so I'm doing all these different, okay, I've got time to read the book. And then it's like, oh, wow, I need to know more. I need to know more. I need to know more. And it's also, it provides, for a 5-1, right? It provides, it's not just providing a safe foundation for others, but also for myself. I don't know if you agree with that, Sammy. So I need to investigate and also experience to make sure that the information that I eventually deliver, like with my clients, that, or anyone, that I know that it's true, at least that, and well, true is not the right thing because that's, you know, it's subjective, but that I know that it has a solid foundation of safe, like it's safe to share, like it's this is the right information for people to be able to do something with. Whether they do is a different story, but so yeah, so I tend to do more gathering. I'm like a squirrel, gathering information on things and kind of like laying the links again. And so yeah, so there's a little bit difference, I think, there between the conscious and the unconscious.
Sammy, jump on in. You're also a 5-1.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like you're kind of trying to say you focus more on that practicality aspect as well. So when you go into something, yeah. So the one thing I like to say, like if anyone's ever is watching this or watches this, is that like when I first heard that I was a 5-1, like, so there's not a lot of videos that are very encouraging like about it sometimes, and it's an amazing profile to have. It's just about making sure that you trust yourself first, and that's where I think that line 1 comes in a little bit different for us. Like when I actually started meditating first, getting into auras, getting into chakras, and reading about all that stuff, and then human design showed up on my YouTube, and I like randomly, and it just hit me so hard. And that is probably definitely a projector thing, and so that was when I was in. But it seems like when I noticed the difference when you were talking about you know, being a 1-3, I see that a lot in my friends, of how they kind of talk things out, and then I start to notice I think these thoughts, and they kind of help me like bring those unconscious thoughts to the surface, because you guys do it more outside, and I feel like I do it more internally. And so it's just interesting how that works. And I think that I think that this like whole panel thing will really like allow people to see the difference though in the conscious and unconscious, because I do think it makes a huge difference as well.
That's really interesting. I hadn't quite, you know, thought of it that way. So curiosity question for you then. Did you talked about your experience, Sammy, as not realizing at the time you kind of did your research and did the rabbit hole stuff until like it was communicated, I guess, through your chart. Could you speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, actually, yeah, you brought up, right. Yeah, I was going to mention this earlier. So this is actually where a lot of pain came in from my life, because I wanted to help others. Like that has been my whole thing. You know, I struggled with an eating disorder really young. So like I really wanted to help. I wanted to investigate how to help others. And so all that energy was going towards people, but I didn't know the power of that dynamic of my profile. I didn't know that people could see me as like someone who could fix all their problems. And so without knowing that power, I was putting myself in situations where I didn't know when enough was enough. I didn't, you know, I just kept investigating and wanting to fix things. And so I think, you know, and I know, Debbie, you kind of mentioned that it made you feel safer. Like you felt like you could have that foundation and just trust. And so I think the difference is now is that I enjoy the things that I go down rabbit holes on. I choose what I want to do instead of whether it's society's expectations of going to college for longer, whether it's whatever it is, you know, conditioning in your whole life. I think now it's like more than ever, I just choose to do what I want to do because I know that that's probably what's right for me.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very resonant on that message. Debbie, you wanted to add something to Sammy's comments?
Yes, and also having the 5-1, which is also like a projected, has a projection field, right? Understanding that, or actually the experience, I don't know, Sammy, if you can relate, or you as well, having one lines where people will kind of come to you to do the investigating for them. Like, can you look up this? Can you find this? And which is great because we can find stuff really quickly. But, you know, if you're doing this for the wrong people or against your authority, it's gonna wear you out, or you're going to be looking into things that don't interest you. So having that one line plus that projection field as well it's very interesting how that energy works, and understanding now that I can choose. Do I want to assist someone with that, or do I want to, you know, kindly decline and be like, well, no, that's not my path. That's not my rabbit hole. That's your rabbit hole.
Debbie, question for you. Are you, what's the definition in your head in ajna?
Undefined.
Okay. I have that as well. I don't know if I mean, I'm sure there's been experiences where people have asked me to research stuff. Like that hasn't stuck for me as much. But what I have found is that, oh, I don't know the answer to your question. I'm going to go research it, even though it's not my question to answer. It's
exactly.
their question.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah. And it's like, wait a second.
Now you're like, wait a minute. Why am I doing?
Yeah. And as
I
you
feel
pointed
so
out,
validated from this.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Like literally, it's like it's like 2 a.m. I'm like, why am I even thinking about this question that they weren't even talking to me, and you're like, I'm gonna look that up later.
Yeah.
It's
crazy
funny how that works.
I had that experience at work where I was a director in corporate, director of marketing, and I would have somebody come in and ask me a question. I'm like, I don't know that. Let me get back to you. But it wasn't a question that I should have been answering as me or as my role. It was one of those out there questions, not related, not connected. And here I just felt this responsibility to line one research and find the answer until I realized, you know, the openness, and that lesson from there is, wait, these aren't my questions to answer.
And can I jump in on that?
You may.
How about somebody asks you a question and you say, well, I don't know that, but hold on, I know someone that might. Let me reach out to them. So basically you're doing, even if it's just, you know, person in the same company, you could have said, well, you know, why don't you ask that person? But you're like, no, I don't know that, but let me ask that person and I'll get back to you. So now you're going through all these different avenues to give them the answer that they could get directly from someone. Does that resonate?
Oh, do your own work. Yes, no kidding. Karen.
Well, so the thing about, I don't know, but let me find someone who does, like that feels very line 4 in terms of like the opportunist and the networking, and like it's all about like who I'm connected with and the opportunities that arise and that I can hook people into through my network. It's like the Malcolm Gladwell thing about like there are super connectors. I have felt like that in my professional life. Like I've collected stacks and stacks and stacks of business cards, and it'll be like a Rolodex in my head of, oh, I don't know, but I know exactly who you need to talk to. And it's like instantaneous, but I won't know until I get asked that question.